Hello everyone, if you've seen this video before and you're just looking to do the routine again, what I'm going to do is put a link at the top of the description so you can skip straight to the start of the workout. But if this is your first time doing this routine, I'm going to walk through it step by step and make sure all the details are right, so that way we're going to get the most out of it. For me, one of the best things I've done for my health has been stretching, lots of stretching. And what I did was I just went on YouTube and looked for like a 10-15 minute routine that I could just save and get up in the morning and hit play, follow it along, and I don't have to think about it. Every morning I get up and just do the thing, and it's kept me consistent and it's been really effective. So I wanted to do something similar with drums, something that can help keep people consistent with doing those things that require lots and lots and lots of repetitions. But I didn't want to do just like the usual speed drill. There's a million speed drills out there. I wanted to focus on something that works more on your technique, something that gets in touch with how much tension you're holding and how you're playing. And it does help your speed, but it's also something that affects your tone as well, and even just how you feel while you play, and also keeping your hands healthy as well. We want to have a nice long life on the kit. Quite simply, we're going to be doing 3 techniques and 3 rudiments at 60 BPM over the course of 10 minutes. So whether you're an advanced player just looking to keep your hands sharp, you might be a beginner and just want to use the 10 minutes just to focus on a single technique and get that under your belt. Anyway, let's have a look. Okay, in the first 2 minutes, we're going to focus on the free stroke, which is also known as the Gladstone technique. This is going to be used mainly to focus on developing the wrist. The key here is going to be the down, throwing the stick down, okay? A lot of people don't think about how much they're actually picking the stick back up while they're playing. So if we can cut that out, we can halve our workload. So simply, we want to keep the stick in our hands. We're not using the fingers to actually move the stick. They're in play, they're touching, but they're not actually moving the stick. We want to focus on the wrist, but we're not clamping down on the stick. We just want to throw it down and follow it back up again. And also we want to limit the movement from the elbow as well, okay? Just to make sure that we're focusing on the wrist for the purpose of this exercise. And as we're doing it, as with a lot of the stuff we're going to be doing in this, we want to try and get the stick to come all the way back to 12 o'clock. Now, when we're doing this particular routine, we want to try and get our hands on a nice bouncy pad. A lot of the pads that are out there today are sort of focusing on mimicking real drums and conditioning the hands a little bit more by using less rebound, which is great. But I think having a really bouncy pad is super valuable to actually get the most out of the most range out of how you're playing. I think it's just as important to condition your hands to understand rebound by getting the most rebound possible. So I'm not saying one or the other, I use both, but it definitely pays to keep a bouncy pad around. As far as what we're actually going to do, we are going to do a bar of 1/8 notes per hand for a minute. And then in the next minute, we're going to do a bar of triplets per hand. So 1/8 notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and switch, 1 and 2 and so on. Then after that, triplets, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Now we're going to focus on the fingers. Once again, this routine is only 10 minutes, and given we're only going to be spending 2 minutes focusing on the fingers, we want to make sure we're doing this properly and using all 4 fingers while we're doing this. A lot of people tend to hold the stick in the fulcrum and just use the other 3 fingers to move the stick. So it can take a lot of getting used to involving the index finger in the use of finger technique. Another thing which some people might need to get used to is getting the pinky involved. The pinky sticking out is like a bit of a bad habit that a lot of people have, but don't really understand how much they're actually missing by not getting it involved. It's essentially like having an extra teammate helping you out. The best way to work the fingers is from the French position. So it's a more centered grip, hand in the middle, thumb pointing up. That way you're only using the fingers. The fingers should be the only thing creating movement. We want our shoulder, elbow, and wrist locked for this movement, not tense. We don't want to be tensing anything up. We still want to stay as relaxed as possible, but we want to imagine that we've just frozen those joints so the fingers are the only thing moving. If you're someone who's a typically tense player, this might take a lot of getting used to, but none of this stuff is going to happen overnight. Once again, a bar of 1/8 notes per hand for a minute, then a bar of triplets per hand for a minute. As with the free stroke, we want the stick to come back to 12 o'clock or further. And try and make sure that the stick has a nice flow when you're going back and forth. You're not just snapping it down and then stopping and then hitting again. You just got a nice flow that's running back and forth. The Moeller technique. Now, in full honesty, this needs a whole video of its own to explain. And what I'm going to do is put a video in the description linking to Jojo Mayer explaining the Moeller technique. I think the material he's put out, and in particular his DVD, Remember These Things? I think it's one of the most comprehensive records of educational material on hand and foot technique ever produced. So I can't recommend enough that you get your hands on it. So far we've been working on the wrist and the fingers. This one incorporates a bit of both, but the main idea is that the stroke is being generated by the shoulder. Now, if you're new to this, you might want to spend your time just focusing on the whipping motion, just doing single hits, not worrying about doing any tap strokes or up strokes or any of that kind of stuff, just getting used to that movement. Once again, bar of eighth notes per hand for a minute, and then bar of triplets per hand for a minute. The real key is to make sure that whatever you're doing, whether it's groups of 2, 3, 4, whatever, that everything is being executed within the flow of the technique of that single whipping motion. It should all basically look the same. It's a very tricky technique to get right. So don't be fooled, don't be discouraged, be patient. There hasn't been a single person that I've introduced it to that hasn't had some kind of difficulty with it. Double strokes. Most people will be familiar with these. Right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. And for this, we're going to transition to 16th notes. And we're just going to do a minute of double strokes at 16th notes. And then we're going to switch to the left hand. Left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right for a minute. The main thing being is that we're just going to focus on those 3 principles that we've been thinking about this whole time. Range, relaxation, and rebound. Paradiddles. Right, left, 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 left. We're just going to do a minute. Once again, focusing on those 3 principles. We're just going to try and get the stick as far back as we can with the most relaxed grip that we can, and you can pick which lead you like to start with. Flams. Once again, another key movement, key rudiment, but for me, the real benefit of playing this one is exercising the use of the upstroke and the downstroke. So if you were to split up the flam in terms of the accent and the grace note, the accent starts at the top and then finishes at the bottom. This would be a downstroke. The grace note starts at the bottom and finishes at the top. This would be an upstroke. So you're constantly switching back and forth. So these movements are key when you're playing a lot of accents and ghost notes and the like. Flams go a long way beyond just hitting beat 4 before you start a rock song. All right, let's get started. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that, whether you are just getting your 10 minutes in for the day or you're about to move on to a more rigorous practice routine. I'd very much like to see how this has worked out for you. Try doing it every day for a couple of weeks to see if anything improves, or if you're more advanced, just keep it in the routine once a week just to keep your hands fresh. Either way, I'd like to know if it's been helpful at all. Let me know if there's a routine you'd like me to create for a different aspect of your playing. As usual, like and share and subscribe and all that good stuff. And I'll see you next time. It's actually really hard.